Yay, after 6 damn years, we now got a sequel to The Outer Worlds. So, yay! And if you don't know me, Outer Worlds, I just loved that game. It was a combination of, Fallout and those like space serials, kind of like felt like Firefly. So, when I heard that they were making a second one, I went, thank God, because I felt like Obsidian has a gold mine here. So I was really happy to hear that, they were doing another one, and that it's finally here. And it was actually kind of like I binge played it. Like, I think I beat it in like 2 weeks. So, that's something. Now that might not seem like binge playing, but for me it is. So, but anyway, so, this one, it's a standalone sequel. It does not take place after the events of one, or this is not before. You don't really know when the timeline is. But in this one, you are playing an Earth Directive agent who is tasked with kind of uncovering the source of rifts that have just opened up in this new colony that you're exploring, and it threatens to destroy the whole thing. And you're also kind of caught in the middle of factional war. So, you dropped in at the right time. But this is kind of like a standalone. It's a standalone sequel. But do I think this is as good as the first one? Well, let's see. So, right off the bat, the good is the story. I enjoyed the story. It was pretty interesting. It was pretty engaging, and I thought it was messed up at times. Like, pretty messed up at times. But, I do like the whole idea, of, in the first one, you're just a colonist who is trying to save a whole ship full of colonists that you were on. You're just trying to save them. In this one, now you're trying to save an entire colony from, destruction, basically. So I do like how it feels like they upped the ante a little bit. And there's also some details in there that I was like, okay, that's actually kind of a cool detail. So you can kind of pick up like how long stuff has happened, like since the first game. Like, in the first game, there's these two businesses. I won't say what, but in this one, they decided to merge them. And I was like, huh, okay, interesting. That's an interesting idea. So you're kind of thinking like, okay, is this just a different, like, completely separate colony? Are their policies and politics different than they are in the first one? Or is this something that happened like throughout the entire universe? Like, what's going on? So I do like those little details. The gameplay is still fun. They fixed some of the problems I had with the first game, but a lot of the gameplay is still there, and it hasn't really changed. But some of the cool stuff that they do, like, I like the idea of certain enemies being invisible, and so you use a device to, like, pinpoint where they're at. So I kind of like that idea. I was like, all right, that's cool. So gameplay I thought was fun. And also in this one, there's more reasons to explore. Because in the first game, I really didn't have a drive to explore absolutely everything, because a lot of the missions were just kind of just given to you. But with this one, not so much. Like, the more you explore, the more, like, stuff you can find, like little things here and there. Or I found a mission that was just out in the middle of nowhere, and that mission was just like, all right, this is kind of cool. I like this. Now, kind of on the negative side, to me, the companions. Now, I did think some of the companions were cool and fun. Like, Aza I thought was pretty cool. Let's see. Knowles I thought was kind of cool. There was some in there where I was like, all right, you're cool. But I don't, to me, they weren't as impactful as of companions as the first game. Like with the first game, like I really latched on to like, Parvati I thought was really cool, and the Oka I thought was really funny. Felix was a cool guy, and so I kind of felt more attached to those companions and characters rather than these ones right away. And that might just be a personal thing, but yeah. So, but another thing is I did run into a couple of bugs. I did run into a couple of bugs, but I did play this like the second it came out, so they probably haven't worked. They probably have worked on it since then, but that's just that. And while it's still over the top and funny and satire is still kind of there, to me it's not as much as the first one. And I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that I believe it is different writers and a different director. Where with the first game, it was Tim Kaine who originally did the original Fallouts. And it was I forget the writer, but for this one, it was, completely new director because Tim Kaine left Obsidian, and yeah, it was just whole new writers, and I don't think a lot of the funniness was there were times where it was there and it was funny, but just not as much as the first one. And that was probably a letdown on my part because I was probably stacking this a little too high. My expectations were a little too high on this one, but overall, I was waiting for this game for a long time and it did not disappoint. And they took everything that was good about the first game and doubled it. From length time, because they did make it longer, because that was one of the issues I had with the first one, was just I beat it way too quickly. I mean, they did a lot of more missions I thought were quite interesting. Exploring was still really cool, but at times I feel like it wasn't as memorable as the first one. Mainly when it comes down to, companions and some of the ridiculousness of the first one. I mean, I'll say this, like in the first game, there's a whole mission where people are getting, two factions or not a faction, but, this one company, a lot of their people are dying because these bandits are trying to take their recipe for diet toothpaste. And it's one of those just like, what? Like, what? Who the fuck is doing, like, why would you do this? And I thought that was just really funny. Like, they're killing each other over diet toothpaste. And I just thought that was really funny. But with this, it's a lot more taken seriously, but it still has a little bit of that comedic style all over it. While I don't think this was as good as the first one, it wasn't a grand slam, but it definitely was a home run, and I see myself playing this again in the future. So personally, I give it maybe a low grade because of all the complaints I had. And it was still fun. And while I said it was no grand slam, but it was definitely fun enough where I would play this again. And if I wanted to, I would replay the first one, and then if I'm still in that space mood, then I'd replay this one as well, like right after that. So while I think this was, not as good as the first one, it was still very enjoyable. And it sucks how they said that 3 is probably not going to happen because this didn't do as well as they thought it would. But at the same time, I think it's also Xbox's fault because they were trying to put that whole $80 price tag bullshit on this. And then Obsidian had to tell them, no, back that shit down. Because Nintendo was doing it, and now Xbox was trying to capitalize on it, and they quickly got rid of that shit. So, thank you, Obsidian. You saved our asses from losing more from our bank accounts. So, thank you. I applaud you guys so much.